You may have gathered, if you've been listening to my vlogs regularly, that I've become much more interested in astrology after finding its potential links to quantum theory. Partially this is after finding out about Wolfgang Pauli's interest in psychology and parapsychology. Why am I so excited is that I've been exploring the links between cosmology, personality and archetypes. But if there is a scientific explanation, then I find it all the more compelling. In Western astrology, astrological signs are the 12 30-degree sectors that make up the Earth's 360-degree orbit around the Sun. The signs enumerate the first day of spring, known as the first point of Aries, which is the vernal equinox. It should be apparent that one's zodiac sign is simply an approximation for the planetary influences when and where you were born. Your full horoscope comes from your birth chart. So the zodiac horoscope simply places you into a house which most characterises the planetary influences on you. The materialist scientists amongst you will undoubtedly argue that the Western horoscope is based on the Ptolemaic cosmology, but we've now discovered many more planets, so in other words they would probably claim it's all a load of rubbish. But does this actually matter? By reducing the variables and clustering them, we're better able to recognise patterns. This is similar to personality theory and indeed archetypes. Certain clusters appear to exist, and we can use these clusters to provide a broad indication. Indeed, personality psychology uses a variety of statistical methods to both cluster and assess the resonance, or reliability if you like, of its results. While zodiac horoscopes may not be so sophisticated in applying a scientific method, it is the same principle. Clusters have been developed and their resonance appears to have been tested. In terms of horoscope, your rising sign may also be used to add a degree of nuance to your reading. This is what sign was rising or ascending at the time of your birth. And broadly speaking, it's how others see you. So many of us read or listen to our horoscopes and believe that they're telling us about our personality and our fate. Astrologers are probably guilty for promoting this interpretation, myself included, in my tarot readings on this channel. But it's really selling short the power of astrology. Your moon sign tells us which zodiac sign the moon was in on the date of your birth, whilst your sun sign tells us which zodiac sign the sun was in on the date of your birth. In dealing with moon signs, your zodiac tells more about what you are. Thinking of tarot, the moon is about fear, the unknown, the subconscious. The moon, therefore, is about fate. Probably a fate based on trauma of the past, which is unresolved and maybe unknowable, or largely unknowable to us. This does not suggest that the moon sign is not useful, as it does indicate your fears and your subconscious. It may be very useful in covering your shadow, but it's less useful in providing us with an archetype or a course of action for you. In short, it's more likely to feed your fears than anything else. But the Western tradition uses the sun sign and is therefore telling us about what we could be, or what we probably should be striving to be. In tarot, the sun is about success, blessings and potentials. It reveals some of the patterns within the zodiac, which, when combined, can show us how to work with our attributes and indeed our synchronicities. By the sky displaying the zodiacal signs by the promised day of judgment, by one that witnesses and subject of the witness. And that's a direct quote from Al-Qu'ran, 85, 1-3, Surat al-Burj, or the mansions of the stars. And now, I'm a little bit reluctant to interpret Al-Qu'ran. After all, this is what I accuse others of, and you're free to interpret it as you wish. But for me, this seems to be suggesting that we will be judged on how well we have fulfilled our potential. Indeed, it is not pointing to this being our mission in this world. And nevertheless, this is juxtapositioned with often quoted hadiths. Whosoever approaches the fortune teller and believes what he says has disbelieved in what was revealed to Muhammad. Ahmad Sunnah Abu Dawud. In fact, that very hadith is taken to suggest that anybody who does so is committing shirk. In other words, polytheism. I know I don't understand it. Now, if you accept Ahmad and Sunnah Abu Dawud, the authority, then there is no argument. You should not engage in fortune telling, nor indeed go to a fortune teller. And certainly this is the reason why I don't read my tarot during Ramadan. The position is often validated through references to Al-Qu'ran. Say none in the heavens and earth knows the unseen except Allah, and they do not perceive when it will be resurrected. Al-Qu'ran 27:65. And also, and no soul perceives what it will earn tomorrow, and no soul perceives in what land it will die. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted. Al-Qu'ran 31:34. But if we're looking at our potential, and that is what Allah judges us on, then this puts a very different reflection on what is permissible. Indeed, for me, and remember this is just my view, but Al-Qu'ran is suggesting that we need to submit to Allah and not to attempt to control our universe. Now, this is something I've talked about many times, and this would include how we conduct ourselves in business politics, how we relate to others, and how indeed we relate to the environment. Now, I've said many times that I believe the scriptures, including Al-Qu'ran, should be interpreted metaphorically and not literally. But here, I am engaged in semantics. What I would say in my defence is the more I look into the arguments of the literalists, the shallower, even downright misleading, misrepresenting they seem to be. And maybe this is but one example. It is though the literalists are determined what a divinator does, using the most extreme and often erroneous examples, and then finds a verse in Al-Qu'ran to condemn it. Many even go on to argue that the divinator can only divinate because they're possessed by a jinn. But they're condemning what they are attributing to a divinator, not what a divinator themselves believes they do. These are issues that I intend to return to in this very vlog. But what it is clear to me is that we have a duty to realise our potential by working with what Allah has configured for us. Each planet symbolises a different energy focus, and the sign each is passing through at any given time. The condition that energy in a consistent way with the meaning of the sign. The position of the planets in the solar system at the time of a person's birth provide important insights into a person's character, challenges and opportunities. Each planet corresponds to specific archetypes. Therefore, the position of the planets can indicate how the archetype manifests in a person's life. To recap and place in a Jungian framework, your sun sign is your actual personality, your moon sign your shadow, which you may be unaware of, and your rising sign, your ego, that is what others see in you. These are the planets and the corresponding archetypes, and indeed zodiac signs will be listed later. So the sun is about conscientiousness, the self and ego. The moon, emotions, subconscious and nurturing. Mercury, communications, intelligence, adaptation. Venus, love, pleasure and beauty. Mars, aggression, anger and drive. Jupiter, optimism, expansion, optimism and higher wisdom. Saturn, restrictions, discipline and responsibility. Uranus, change, freedom and innovation. Neptune, spiritual transcendence and imagination. Pluto, transformation, power, intense and hidden aspects of the psyche. In terms of personalities, or at least factors affecting our potential, we can see these as archetypes. Although we could see zodiac signs themselves as archetypes. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the archetypes. Maybe I should say personality traits more so than archetypes. I'll keep using the word archetype, but you'll see what I mean. Associated with each sign. So looking at the first sign, you can see it's Aries. So we've got two columns. In the first column, these are probably things that you would normally, if you're an Aries, you'd normally associate with it. Aries is the ram. Its sign is Mars. Its opposite sign is Libra. It's what's known as a positive sign, and if you don't understand these, I'll explain it. It's also a cardinal sign and a fire sign. And then in terms of its sort of traits, I'm not going to read them all, but Aries is brave, bold and fiery. Aries is one that takes action. As we said, it's ruled by Mars, but that itself is a planet of action and bravery. So Aries takes no prisoners and can be very stubborn. Aries can have a tendency for selfishness and aggressiveness, indeed even harshness, due to Aries' direct nature, independence and bold action taking. Now, I'll just leave each of these up for a little while so that you can get a chance to read them yourselves. Taurus is known to be steady, grounded, have great strength and stamina. It's the materialistic sign of the zodiac, ruled by Venus. Taurus loves pleasure, luxury and all things premium. Taurus can also be very stubborn and quite self-indulgent. Flexible, balanced and adaptable. Gemini is really the storyteller of the zodiac. Gemini, of course, is known as the twins and come across at best as having two distinct aspects to their personality, and at worst they may seem two-faced, even schizophrenic. Now, Cancer's a strange one because it's a loving mother, but it's also the crab who wants to return back to her shell. Yes, she's loving, caring, nurturing, but very easily hurt and real tendency to be a hermit. They're traditionalists and they're home builders. Leo brings creativity and a desire to be seen and heard. So yeah, Leo's very creative, outgoing, warm, playful, but also has a shadow side. Their bossiness often hides a sensitive soul and an underlying insecurity. Leo can be a little vain, egotistic, even showy. Virgos are charmers and great listeners. Virgos are also healers. May use things like astrology, crystal work, herbalism, or essential oils. In everything, Libra seeks harmony and balance. They're very fair and have a strong sense of justice, as well as a love of beauty. They're very caring, but they can be shy if not treated gently. Scorpios are cool and confident. Scorpios about deep soul level transformation. Scorpio is passionate, intense and perceptive. Sagittarius is the explorer of the zodiac, the globetrotter, the philosopher, the guide. Capricorn's the mountain goat, climbing sort of metaphorical mountains. Slow but steady and will get there. It's ruled by Saturn and it's all about organisation, structure and responsibility. However, life can seem a little bit too serious. Aquarius, the innovator and the humanitarian, they're the water bearers and the future makers. However, they can be prone to laziness and can get lost in philosophical musings. Gosh, it's the opposite to my sign, but you know, I can see myself in that. Pisces are creative, intuitive, mystical and spiritual. They're unselfish and happy to stay out of the limelight. They can be a little bit vague, to be a little lost, and can tend to try and escape the realities of life here on Earth. Zodiac sign has an opposite sign, literally the sign that it is on the opposite of the skies on the date of your birth. So these are the Aries is opposite to Libra, and therefore Libra opposite to Aries. Taurus is opposite to Scorpio. Gemini is opposite to Sagittarius. Cancer is opposite to Capricorn. Leo is opposite to Aquarius. And Virgo is opposite to Pisces. These polarities refer to the alignment of the sky's energy as either positive or negative, with various attributes associated to them as a result. So positive polarity signs are called active or yang, expressive masculine signs, are the 6 odd numbered signs of the zodiac: Aries, Gemini, Leo, Libra, Sagittarius and Aquarius. Where the positive signs make up the fire and air elementals. Negative polarity signs are often called passive or yin, receptive or feminine signs, and are the 6 even numbered signs of the zodiac: Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, Capricorn and Pisces. Negative signs make up the earth and water elementals. Now, the modality of a sign refers to its position in the season that it's found in. Each of the 4 elementals manifests in these 3 modalities: cardinal, fixed and mutable. The combination of elements of the elementals and modality provides the signs with unique characteristics. These elements are the equivalent of Hippocrates' personality types: sanguine, air; choleric, fire; melancholic, earth; phlegmatic, water. We then have, looking at the elementals, fire is associated with braveness, artistic, confident, passionate and independence. Air, witty, social, spacey, intellectual, good listeners. Earth, detail orientated, down to earth, cultivated, grounded, practical. Water, imaginative, empathetic, emotional, nurturing and intuitive. So I suppose the important point of all this is that, yes, the planets do influence our personality and our life choices. But if we free ourselves from fear and open our hearts to love, they point to our potential and not our fate. So often when I do a tarot reading, people ask me, is there anything I can do to change it? And the answer is yes, absolutely. You know, these are just energies that are going to occur round about the time that I'm talking about. But how you respond to them is what matters so much. Now, of course, there are some people that will always be led by fear, rejecting what they don't understand or cannot be even bothered to understand, seeing it as forbidden, even satanic. Of course, if we are led by fear and greed, then we can use the planet for exactly these things. Seeing our fellow man as dangerous and evil, even demanding punishment for our fellow man. Whilst others accept the opportunities of the unknown. Yes, their fellow man can at times be within God's shadow. But if they approach everything with honesty and love, then they have nothing to fear. If we suppress the ego and act selflessly, then the planets can be our opening to God. Now, some of you may have been listening to the shenanigans, the black magic that's been going on with my Duke and brother-in-law. And I finally got to the conclusion that while he continues, what have we got to be frightened about? I've spent 12 years learning about things. I've spent 12 years learning how I can overcome what he does to us. And I also have spent 12 years finding out that should I want to, I can kill him. Now, I'm not going to, and that's my choice. But what am I frightened of? Because it's only fear that creates the problems. So yes, we have free will. But how much better to work with the planets than against them? If our mission on Earth is to create personal transformation and become closer to God, then should we not tap into this potential and do this? Indeed, this appears to be exactly what we're being urged to do in the scriptures. We're being told to co-create and find our destiny, to shake off fear and fate. Above all, to dream.